My name is Danny Banchev. I'm the founder of the Off Porn Academy, and I struggled with porn addiction for 10 years. The first time I ever watched porn was at 9 years old, and at the peak of it, so between 13 and 15 years old, I was jerking off to porn on average 5 times per day. It almost feels like I'm talking about a past life or another person right now, but it's true. I've cheated on girlfriends online, I've jerked off in hidden public places like bathrooms, and I've even bleeded out of jerking off too much a few times. Today I can proudly say that I've been off porn for periods of more than a year in a row, to abstain from masturbation for months, and even to practice semen retention, so not ejaculating, no sex whatsoever, for a few weeks in a row. And the craziest part, as crazy as it sounds, it kind of even feels easy now. So today my intention is to share with you what worked for me. So the next few minutes will be separated into 3 different sections. Section number 1, I'm gonna make you go through a thought experiment. It's really gonna challenge you, but trust me, it's gonna be worth it. Now in the second section, I'm gonna share with you, in my perspective, what the real meaning of porn addiction is and the root cause behind it. And then in the last section, the most important one, I'm going to share with you 3 steps you can take today to start healing from porn addiction for good. All right, so let me ask you a few questions. First of all, would you feel ashamed, or would you make another person ashamed for watching a movie once in a while? I'm assuming the answer is no. Okay. So why do you feel so ashamed about watching porn once in a while? Oh no, but porn is different. Really? What's so different about it? Oh, it's unnatural. Our brains were not designed for this level of cheap pleasure. Our ancestors didn't have access to that, and it's a sin in the eyes of God. All right, fair enough, but you know what else is completely unnatural? Overstimulating for our dopamine systems was completely inaccessible for our ancestors, and can even be perceived as a sin in the eyes of God if overused. Social media, television, video games, fast food. And now some of you might say, okay, but porn is actually increasing shame and perversion and insecurity. Listen, no matter how difficult it is for me to say it, porn is actually not the problem. I'm sure you all know people who watch porn from time to time and they still have a perfectly healthy relationship with life, and they're successful and everything is good. Overindulgence in porn is actually what creates these problems you just described. It's like, would you actually have these same problems if you truly only watched porn once every few weeks? Truly, be honest with yourself when you answer these questions. What is your true reason why you want to quit porn? Isn't it something like a feeling to be in control of your own actions, better confidence, more energy and motivation, a clearer and more peaceful mind? Something like that, right? Now, aren't all those technically internal states, mental, emotional stuff that can be achieved in many different ways? For example, through self-education, on things like social media or the internet, which, by the way, your ancestors didn't have access to either. The point I'm trying to make here is that you will never live like your ancestors did, and that's okay. It's called evolution. What people like us get trapped into in the beginning of our journey is that we fail to realize that the shame and poor self-image we associate to like porn consumption is the reason behind the addiction. It's what keeps us trapped in the porn matrix. Instead of demonizing modern civilization, appreciate the abundance of information we have access to. And here's the thing, since you're a human and no human can be more powerful than the laws of the universe, there is a fundamental balance that needs to be maintained. That balance can go in different seasons, but the point is there will always be ups and downs. And if you don't consciously keep that balance in, life will make it happen unconsciously, and nobody wants that. Now, the craziest part to me is that I was the first to shame people out of porn, and I was so wrong. We have been looking at it through such a limited perspective this whole time, and the worst part, this perspective is actually what feeds the porn industry. Shame, guilt, taboo, insecurity, isolation are all fuels for addiction, bro. So here's the real meaning of porn addiction. If we want to heal from something, we better be sure we're talking about the same thing, right? So here's my favorite and simplest definition of addiction. It's inspired from Dr. Andrew Huberman, who's currently a world-renowned neuroscientist, and he's the host of the #1 health podcast in the world, Huberman Lab. So he describes addiction as a progressive narrowing of things that give you pleasure. That's it. It's as simple as that. And if we reverse engineer it to describe enlightenment or freedom, one of the optimal human states, it would be a progressive widening of things that give you pleasure. That means addiction isn't black or white. It's not like you are addicted or you're completely free. It's about how addicted you are or how enlightened or free you are. It's actually a spectrum that goes all the way from completely addicted to fully enlightened and free. Now, 99.99% of us are somewhere in between, right? So the goal is to go towards enlightenment. That's what progress is. So with that definition in mind, what does it really mean to heal from porn addiction? It means to make your life so blissful, to create such a wide range of stuff that gives you pleasure that it eventually shrinks porn into irrelevance. That's it. The less space it takes in your consciousness, the better. It's not about breaking free one time and then you never think about it ever again. It's just about consistently progressing towards the enlightenment part of the spectrum. It's quite literally a journey of a lifetime, and that's okay. It's part of being human in the 21st century. It might be the easiest time in history to succeed with all the tools we have, but it's also the easiest time in history to get caught in those types of addictions. It's the price to pay. So with that being said, I know it's probably challenging you right now because it means you have to completely rewire your whole way of thinking. And that's what I had to do when I was first getting out of this addiction. So many of us tend to jump into the game of addiction recovery with the idea that we absolutely must completely cut this behavior out of our lives forever and ever, whatever it takes, even if it means resisting it and fighting it on a daily basis. But here's the big problem with this approach. Not only does it fail to make it any less relevant, it makes it even more relevant. As Carl Jung famously said, whatever you resist, persist. What I would add to that is that whatever you resist, you give power to. It's like picture someone who's truly free from any sort of attachment to porn. If you ask them, bro, have you ever been addicted to porn? They won't go like, yeah, bro, but like I'm at day 185 on a timeline. Like I'm at God level now. They would probably go more something like, wait, what the fuck do you mean? You can be addicted to that stuff? They just don't give a fuck. It's completely irrelevant to them. They don't care. That's the level we are trying to get to. That's when we have truly broken out of the grip of it. That's when we're free. So here are 3 steps on how to heal from porn for good. Step number 1, know your outcome. Grab a piece of paper, open the notes app on your phone, put a 15-minute timer, and note down all of the reasons why you have such a strong desire to heal from porn. Not what all those red pill gurus are saying, like not what you heard Andrew Tate say. Why is it important to you? Step number 2, incorporate intermittent semen retention into your life. I've already described the entire process in a previous video, so I'm just gonna take this clip and incorporate it here. So listen carefully, go through the exercises, trust the process. It might be uncomfortable, it's completely counterintuitive, you've probably never heard about it, but trust me, it's worth it. Try it out. Step number 1, make a personal assessment. Grab a piece of paper right now or open the notes app on your phone and note down how often you tend to ejaculate on average. Is it 3 times per day, once per day, once every 3 days, once per week? You know it best. And I'm not talking about your peak when like you're really using all of your willpower and your discipline. I'm talking about what was your natural tendency before you even tried to quit. Good, so now that you got it, triple that time gap. So if it was 3 times per day, now it's 1 time per day. If it was 1 time per day, now it's every 3 days. And once you have that new time gap, take it and schedule a moment in your calendar. For example, if your new time gap is every 3 days, schedule a moment in your calendar right now in 3 days where you can do whatever the fuck you want with your dick. I know it sounds so counterintuitive right now. You've probably never even seen this perspective, but stay with me. Stay until the end. I promise it's worth it. In all cases, when you schedule that moment, make it achievable enough so you're absolutely certain you can do it, but uncomfortable enough so you know it's gonna get you out of your comfort zone. Now, step number 2, that's when it gets interesting. Turn it into a game. Make it an absolute non-negotiable, like whatever it takes to not ejaculate until that moment in your calendar. Make it a challenge, just like that one time you ran your first 5 kilometers or your first 10 kilometers despite how uncomfortable it was, or the first time you took a cold bath or a cold shower, or when you did the 75 hard challenge, or when you set a timer and you worked for a project you've been procrastinating for days, or you studied for an exam, you put a timer of like 90 minutes and you stick to it. The same type of vibe. And if you've never done any of that stuff I just mentioned, start by doing that first. If you're still not convinced from that approach, here are all the benefits you're gonna get from it. Self-awareness, discipline, patience, presence, and impulse control. All traits of an incredibly meaningful, fulfilling, and successful life. According to scientific studies, it will also optimize your levels of dopamine and testosterone, which will result in increased energy, mood, motivation, confidence, courage, and focus. All traits of very high value men. And last but not least, for my spiritual believers out there, it will also boost your creative power, since you're literally transmuting sexual, creative life energy. That energy literally has the power to create life, and you're transferring that into your goals and your vision. Are you starting to get it now? Step number 3, you focus on slow but steady progress. Like, once you achieve that initial milestone, celebrate the shit out of it. We're talking get so much pleasure that you basically get sick of it, and then raise the bar by just 1 day. For example, if your last run was 4 days, now your next one is 5 days. And you keep on raising the bar as you make progress on the journey. Remember, my friend, the goal is for you to be in control and to progress. You cannot improve what you don't measure. No matter what you do, make sure it's your choice. You are way better consciously masturbating every few days than unconsciously losing control and relapsing every few weeks. Trust me, your self-image and your mental health will be thanking you. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed the process. Now that you've scheduled that new time gap, we go through step number 3, which is to do more of that stuff that truly matters for you in between. Let me explain. Remember how you noted down all of the reasons why you want to quit porn, why it matters to you? Well, on that list, there's probably stuff like being more confident, building a family one day, building my business, having more control over my life, having more energy, being more productive, you know, that type of stuff. Whatever is on that list gives you hints on what truly matters for you in life. So what I suggest you do right now is that you put maybe another 5-10 minute timer and you note down the most exciting results you could possibly get in the areas of health, wealth, relationships, happiness. Like, what excites you most? What is your vision? What matters truly to you? What do you want to create with that new energy, that new time in your life? What do you want to create? And once it's done, look at that list and turn it into habits you can start doing right now. You'll have so much more time and energy at your disposal. Fill it with those types of habits. For example, for me, it's creating a massive audience of more than 10 million followers across platforms. So I know that a daily habit I can start doing right now that I use my creative life energy in is writing, strategic writing, writing my newsletter that turns into these videos, that turns into any sorts of posts on social media. Find your own stuff and start doing it today. Like, now is the moment your life finally changes, bro. It's so exciting. All right, my people, that was all for me today. Hopefully you found it valuable enough. Take what resonates with you, try it out. You have nothing to lose. Worst case scenario, you come back to baseline, which you're already there. And if you're watching this video until the end, I'm assuming you don't exactly have the type of control that you really want to have over your life. So you have nothing to lose. By the way, whenever you're ready, there are 2 more ways I can help you. Number 1, if you prefer learning by reading, then you'll be happy to hear that this video you just watched is the exact script of only one of the 3 lessons I shared in this week's edition of the Triple Wisdom Wednesdays, which is my newsletter. So every week I share 3 principles that can help you progress faster with less pain. It takes less than 10 minutes to read. It's completely free, so if you want to sign up, the link is in the description. Or if you actually prefer learning by watching videos like you just did, then this is the right place to be. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel. I will be very grateful. Now, the second way I can help you is that if you're a man and you're ready to unlock your fullest potential instead of settling for cheap pleasure, then you can join the #1 divine brotherhood in the world. Right now, it's called the Off Porn Academy. The link is in the description as well. Other than that, thank you all so much for listening. I'm so grateful for y'all. Take care, much love, and I'll see you here soon. Bye-bye.